At dawn, armored convoys from North Korea suddenly emerge, rolling into Ukraine's burning front lines, steel shadows cutting through smoke. This is not just the arrival of steel and gunpowder. It is a chilling declaration of Pyongyang's silent hand in a distant war. Each tank, painted in dull gray-green, roars forward across scarred earth, heading straight into a battlefield where Ukraine is waiting. On the eastern front, under a heavy sky, a new clash is brewing, where drones and tanks will meet in a deadly contest. North Korean armor, outdated but thickly plated, is trusted by Russia to spearhead the assault, despite doubts about its resilience. Across the field, Ukraine has built a kill zone, a death trap where kamikaze drones hunt every slow-moving armored target. Two worlds collide, heavy steel beasts on one side, agile unmanned hunters on the other. Brute strength versus precision technology. In command posts, Ukrainian officers watch calmly, ready to unleash swarms of drones like bullets with wings and human intent. A brief silence grips the battlefield, before the thunder of tank engines mixes with the whine of UAV propellers overhead. This moment will rewrite modern warfare. North Korean tanks rolling into Ukraine's drone kill zone, unaware of the storm ahead. The column of North Korean tanks advances steadily, their tracks grinding across frozen soil scarred by months of relentless war. Russian crews, weary but determined, man the vehicles, faces hardened, eyes fixed ahead, trusting foreign steel beneath them. The tanks are painted in faded camouflage, relics of another era, yet now pushed into Europe's most unforgiving battlefield. Dust swirls as armored hulls push deeper into contested territory, unaware of the silent hunters watching from the sky. Each formation moves with discipline, their heavy turrets scanning left and right, barrels searching for unseen Ukrainian threats. Artillery fire echoes in the distance, a grim soundtrack as the column edges closer to the Ukrainian defensive lines. Russian commanders rely on weight and numbers, believing massed armor can still dominate against unconventional aerial tactics. Drone spotters high above relay coordinates, quietly tracking every armored vehicle, waiting for the moment to strike. The tanks rumble through shattered villages, passing burned-out cars and abandoned homes. Reminders of wars past and present. Infantry escorts flank the tanks, rifles raised, scanning rooftops and tree lines for ambushes that never come. The armored convoy pushes into open fields where visibility is wide, but so is exposure to aerial hunters. Tank crews remain confident, believing armor plating can withstand most threats, blind to the precision of modern drones. Engines roar, exhaust smoke billows, the steel giants form into a wedge, classic doctrine from another century. Ukrainian observers hidden in tree lines mark the formation, transmitting live feeds to drone pilots awaiting the order. The convoy halts briefly. Crews dismount to check equipment, unaware their every move is being mapped from above. Helmets glint under gray skies, voices murmur over radios. The calm before a storm only one side expects. Overhead clouds drift slowly, concealing the faint buzz of UAVs circling high above their unsuspecting prey. The Russian-led column continues, grinding forward with mechanical certainty, locked on orders, blind to shifting battlefield realities. Every turn of their tracks pushes them deeper into the trap, a kill zone meticulously prepared for this very moment. The convoy, still in smoke, enters the field that Ukraine has marked for destruction. The hunters now close in. The first Ukrainian drone lifts into the sky, its electric whine cutting through the silence, eyes fixed on armored prey. Operators guide it with calm precision, their monitors glowing in dim shelters as the battlefield unfolds in real time. From above, the tanks look like slow, lumbering beasts, tracks grinding, turrets rotating with heavy, deliberate caution. The drone tilts forward, diving lower, locking onto its first target, a North Korean tank leading the column. Inside the vehicle, the Russian crew is unaware, checking instruments, listening only to the steady hum of the engine. The drone accelerates, camera locked on the steel giant, every second bringing it closer to a fatal collision. Suddenly, the first impact, an eruption of fire in the steel as the drone slams into the tank's turret. The explosion reverberates across the field, black smoke rising, the convoy halting in confusion and disbelief. Panic spreads among crews. Hatches open, soldiers scramble, unsure if the next strike will be theirs. Above, more drones circle like vultures, each waiting for coordinates, each carrying the weight of precision death. Another drone descends, skimming treetops before plunging into a second tank, shattering armor with a deafening blast. Columns of smoke mark the battlefield. Russian radios erupt with frantic chatter as the kill zone tightens. Tank gunners fire wildly into the sky, their heavy shells missing the small, darting UAVs with every shot. Infantry open fire with rifles. Tracer rounds streak upward, but the drones keep coming, relentless and silent. One UAV dives low, slipping past defensive fire, striking a tank's engine block. Metal screams, flames engulf the hull. Russian crews bail out, running for cover, leaving behind burning steel that once symbolized armored dominance. The battlefield transforms. Columns of armored power reduced to flaming wrecks under a storm of drones. Ukraine's operators remain calm, guiding their machines with surgical precision, each strike methodical and devastating. In the command center, officers nod silently, knowing their trap has closed exactly as planned. A tank attempts to reverse, smoke trailing, but a drone crashes into its rear, explosion tearing steel apart. The formation breaks, vehicles scatter in panic, but every movement is tracked from the unblinking eyes above. Drone after drone dives, striking weak points, hatches, engines, turrets, turning armored beasts into twisted carcasses of war. The battlefield is choked with black smoke, flames licking skyward as drones carve steel into ruin. Russian commanders shout orders, demanding anti-air measures, but their defenses are too slow, too outdated to respond. A drone slams into the side of a tank still moving forward, lifting it in fire before shattering it apart. Soldiers abandon their positions, sprinting across open ground, easy targets under the watchful eye of UAVs. Another wave of drones launches, their silhouettes barely visible against the overcast sky, buzzing like a swarm of hornets. Each strike is captured on operator screens, silent victories delivered from a distance of miles away. The kill zone tightens further. Every surviving tank is marked, hunted, and queued for destruction. Smoke and fire blot out the horizon, a graveyard of armor forming in real time before both armies' eyes. Russian crews attempt desperate counterfire, but shells hit empty fields, blind to the speed of their hunters. A drone rams into a tank column's rearguard, detonating fuel stores. Fireball erupts, lighting the battlefield in orange. One by one, the North Korean tanks are picked apart, symbols of outdated might crushed by agile innovation. The ground trembles not from advancing armor, but from explosions tearing through steel hulls. By now, crews know the truth. This is not a battle of equals, but a slaughter scripted by technology. The last tank in formation halts, turret frozen, before a drone pierces its side, flames consuming it whole. The convoy is shattered, nothing but smoldering wreckage, as drones circle above, victorious in silence. Ukraine's trap has worked perfectly, the kill zone littered with broken machines, proof of drone supremacy. Soldiers retreat on foot, leaving behind the wrecks of North Korean steel, their hopes crushed under aerial assault. The battlefield falls quiet again, only smoke rising where once a convoy believed it could break through. From command centers to front lines, one truth is clear: the age of tanks is being rewritten by drones. And in Ukraine's east, the story of North Korean armor ends not with triumph, but with fire and ruin. The smoke settles, revealing a graveyard of armored steel, North Korean tanks reduced to twisted, burning husks of war. Ukraine's drone strategy has rewritten battlefield logic, replacing brute force with precision delivered from the sky. The tanks, once symbols of raw power, now stand shattered, proof that armor alone cannot guarantee survival. Every impact revealed weak points: engine blocks, turret rings, fuel stores. Targets drones exploited with surgical precision. North Korean armor, designed for conventional wars of decades past, faltered under modern unmanned assault. Russian crews fought with courage, but their outdated tactics left them exposed against relentless swarms above. In command posts, Ukrainian officers quietly reviewed footage, each strike a case study in 21st century warfare. The balance was clear. One drone, cheap and agile, could neutralize a machine worth millions. For every tank destroyed, the economic and symbolic loss far outweighed the cost of the drone. Military analysts now ask, is this the end of the tank's dominance or the dawn of adaptation? Russian doctrine still relies on massed armor, but the battlefield has exposed its fragility and brutal clarity. The kill zone revealed an undeniable truth. Technology can invert power, turning weaknesses into decisive strengths. Crews who survived know the lesson intimately. Steel cages became coffins when faced with silent, circling hunters. For Ukraine, drones became not just tools, but equalizers, leveling the field against a numerically superior foe. Footage of burning tanks spread quickly, reshaping perceptions of the war far beyond the front lines. Western observers watched closely, noting how Ukraine weaponized low-cost innovation against heavy imported armor. For Pyongyang, the message was clear. Their exported machines were no match for modern aerial tactics. The partnership with Moscow may strengthen politically, but on the battlefield, the results told another story. Each destroyed tank undercut the myth of invincibility, showing that heritage designs are relics in drone warfare. Ukraine's drone operators became silent heroes, unseen faces guiding strikes that reshaped the course of the battle. The wreckage littering the field became more than debris. It was evidence of a military era ending. For Russia, questions mounted. Could armored warfare still serve as the spearhead of modern offensives? For Ukraine, confidence grew. Drone supremacy had proven its worth, both tactically and symbolically. The battlefield spoke with brutal honesty. Armor without adaptation is armor destined to burn. And in this kill zone, the balance of innovation over tradition was written in smoke and steel. The battlefield now lies silent, a wasteland of twisted metal where North Korean tanks once roared forward. For Russia, the gamble of foreign armor ended in flames, exposing the vulnerability of outdated machines. For North Korea, each destroyed tank was a message broadcast to the world. Obsolete steel cannot mask weakness. Ukraine, armed with ingenuity and drones, turned scarcity into strength and reshaped the balance of war. The kill zone proved that innovation, not size, dictates survival on the modern battlefield. In every wrecked tank lies a lesson: armor must evolve, or it will be written off as relic. For Moscow, the loss was more than material. It was psychological, a dent in the myth of armored supremacy. For Kiev, the victory was proof that persistence and adaptation can stand against overwhelming firepower. The world now debates, is this the twilight of the tank or the dawn of drone-dominated warfare? Every plume of smoke was not just destruction, it was transformation, the battlefield rewriting its own rules. The clash of steel and drones in Ukraine was no skirmish. It was a turning point for global warfare. And in the silence after fire, one truth remains. The future belongs to those who master the skies. The age of armor is not over, but in Ukraine's fields, its invincibility has burned away forever.